Today I'm starting back on rust abatement work on the body here. A lot of you have already seen the sketchy fiddling I've been doing here. I already did one side of it where I just etched off the rust. I think it's a cover photo for the first video of this T1N series. You'll see what this side looked like when I was out in the desert right before I worked on it, traveling from East Coast to West Coast. But this wasn't done properly. I just wanted to take the rust off. Sorry about the shadows here. Pretty flowers. Just want to take the rust off and keep it from continuing. So I used a grinding wheel, paint rust grinding wheel from Walmart. And I just shaved it all off of there, and then I did a primer spray of white on top, primer spray of white on the bottom, and then covered the bottom with a black bed liner just to kind of give it a somewhat clean look with the white over black. And again, I don't know if you can see it in this video. I can't even find a good example of it, but this might be clear here where you can see that the level of paint is thicker outside of where I ground the rust and paint off. I didn't sand it or anything, I just primed right over top of it. So from a distance it looks okay. You get up close and you see all these little etch marks and things that are not level and not smooth with the paint. The shadows are kind of throwing that off there. There's some more over here. I don't know if you can see that in the video or not. And also I didn't chemically treat it after I've removed the rust. So a little bit here you can see, I know there's some down here where you can probably see where the rust, even though it looked like there's no rust on there, I didn't chemically remove the rust with any treatment, so it came right back through the paint after a few months. A few wet months in California, by the way, over the winter, which was unexpected. But I guess good, because it signifies to me that I didn't do it right. I need to do it again. So I'm going to go over all these spots again and sand off all the paint, treat for rust, and then prime it again, ready for the next step over there. The other side is halfway done, that where I've actually ground off the paint and rust. But then I got sidetracked with other mechanical issues, and it ended up getting a new sheen of orange rust over top of the steel, which was to be expected. Even though it didn't rain, there was enough moisture in the air and in the morning and whatnot overnight to cause that. So it's been looking like this for a couple months, and I haven't got around to it. I've been watching it to make sure it didn't get too awful, but just today I started taking the patches that look like this and then grinding them again or sanding them again and giving a nice smooth steel clean spot to work with. And some of this, there's pitting here, which I'm trying to just grind down as flat as I can, and then I'll try to use a sandable primer and experiment there and spray over it, let it dry on nice and smooth and tight, and then sand it lightly and see if I can smooth that out where the pitting doesn't show through the final coat. Far from a pro right here with any of this stuff with the vehicle, so I don't have a lot of faith in how that's going to end up. I'll do some research online and look in the Facebook groups and things and see what I can learn. But I've been going back through just now, taking off, this one I didn't do yet. Here you can see some of the rust back on there. Fresh rust, not old rust in the pitting, you can see right there and there. So this one's all cleaned up mostly. I need to chemically treat it. And then hopefully that'll be gone. I've got this rust remover gel. I can't remember the brand. I'll show it in another video here soon. The regular stuff doesn't really stay on a nice vertical surface very well, but I'm thinking the gel will. I put it on, leave it for 15 minutes, and then rinse it off. I experimented with it a little bit, I think on a spot over here where I had a lot of rust that wasn't coming out, and it stayed on there, and I didn't wash it off in time. It just turned into this like foamy, cakey, weird white chalky mess. So I'll try to do it properly this time. But a lot to do, a lot to clean up still to get it ready or get it to the point where it was just a couple months ago. But I'll try to get that done today and get caught up with that. This over here is particularly difficult. It was covered in all new rust over here above the wheel well, but it cleaned out nicely again. There's a lot of pitting right in here, and then there's this one hole. There's two holes. One, this is the larger of the two. The other one's near the rear driver's side wheel well. I've got some screen and some Bondo and stuff. I'll play with that a little bit, but I need to, again, I'll probably cut that out a little bit to make it even, and then treat for rust chemically, and then work on that. There's also a lot of pitting right back here as well. There's not a whole lot of rust under the frame. There's a couple of bad spots in the back. The hood is in good shape except for this top edge up here. Can't really see that in the video, I don't think. Maybe you can there. But I'll work on that after I take the chrome, plastic chrome trim piece off there, because I'm changing to the Mercedes grille eventually. And of course, this right here, I'm going to do what I can now just to prevent it from getting bad, and I'm going to change the windshield out. So I'm going to try to time that right where I pull the windshield myself, hopefully, do all the rust work, like over a weekend or something, and then have somebody to come in here and change the windshield out. I've got some cracks across the windshield here. I've been delaying for a while until I get to that rust work. And there's not too much rust around here. There's a leak on the other side that I patched, but didn't fix the rust properly. Roof is pretty good. There's a couple of seams that have a little bit of attention needed. And the back is a concern, actually. The doors here around the window is pretty rough. It just had some stupid Rust-Oleum like rust reformer spray on there, and then bed liner put on top of it after the windows were masked, so it's not really done properly anyway. But that was just aesthetic. But I need to grind that off pretty quickly before the winter comes and moisture comes back heavily, and take care of that properly. Well, properly, I need to really just oh, there's me. Hey. I need to pull the windows out and do that correctly. But up around the hinges and things, I just need to disassemble and pull that apart, sand it all down and rebuild it. Oh, my kids are all coming out now. Next video coming up in a few. So working on some new spots here on this side. As you can see, underneath of the bed liner paint, actually it's pretty, it's still scratchy. You can see issues like this in different places. Some are poking through. I'll work on this one right here. I just brushed off my hand a little bit, but I'm using a simple angle grinder, the 4.5 inch rust and paint stripping wheel, and I'm going to use it improperly with one hand for a second just to demonstrate here. Alright, so end result of that is I get down to the steel, actual body, and I want to see the extent of the corrosion or the rust spot, so I go all the way out to the edge until I don't see any more pitting and rust, then give a nice clean metal around it, and then I'll graze over this a little bit with a grinder too to get all the excess rust off. what I'll probably do is I'll go over these spots all over again across the whole van here, and then get the pitting down and scrape down as much as I can without tearing a hole in the metal, in the sheet metal, and then treat it with that rust treatment gel, then wash it off. Maybe do that a couple times, 2 or 3 times maybe, to get it all out of there. And then I'll maybe sand and grind some more to get it as smooth as possible, because this is not good here. And then I'll experiment with one small section. I'll get that sandable primer that fills, and I'll try that in there, and then I'll go progressively higher grit sandpaper and get it as smooth as possible, and then do a primer coat on top of that, and then sand some more and do a not a finish coat, but a color on top of that, and just see how that dries and how it feels and looks. And we'll go from there. I'll try to document progress as I go. Right now I'm going to try to hit some more of this and clean up as much as I can and get down to this point. Eventually I'll have to sand all of this across there to smooth that out as best I can. This area doesn't matter too much, because this is all going to end up being bed liner down at the bottom. So I just want to get the rest out, but I can experiment down here a little bit, because small mistakes won't really show through. I can cover them up a lot easier on the lower half of the vehicle here. But up top, I'm going to give it a nice new color. So I want to learn what I'm doing down here before I start playing with things up there. So I'll try to keep you updated on progress. This might be the last video of today's upload. Maybe.